Can you hear me? Yes, you can. Okay. Hello and welcome to the chaos. I'm so sorry for the delays. We are experimenting with a new setup. This is the setup that we're going to be using this weekend for the Hangout-a-thon. We are gearing up. I have Annie is over here on the floor off camera. I have Tanner around the corner, dogs running around playing with ping pong balls they have captured. And we have a doggy cam set up. And we're trying to get everything ready for this weekend's Hangout-a-thon. So what do you think? We're still setting everything up, but I wanted to give you an early preview of what's to come. Tomorrow, we're going to have more people, more stuff, as much chaos. The dog just almost knocked over a lighting fixture. And the goal is to raise enough funding to keep all of our programs going. And we're going to do this by putting on 40 straight hours of science for you. Now, we have a shed load of giveaways. I don't know if you can see, but on the dog cam that is over there, that way. That's the dog cam. Okay, I'm figuring out how to do this. So if you look on the dog cam, there is a set of shelves running off into the distance that are piled up with things. Those are all of our giveaways. We have a ton of Loot Crate goods, pop figures. We have a bazillion t-shirts, all in about the same size. Sorry about that. They came from Loot Crate. And we have artwork from me. We have artwork coming in from other artists who are joining us. Sorry, I keep blowing the mic levels. I need to adjust this. And every hour, we're going to have multiple giveaways. We're going to have special guests. We're getting an eco server turned on just for our community. So we're going to be trying to save the planet from an incoming asteroid. All in the name of science. So yeah, Stella is totally trying to destroy a ping pong ball. This is true. So, questions? Now, I'm going to ask, can someone give at least $1 in bits? Because there's an animation set up that is truly fantastic. You want to do this. Susie and Paranor just said hi, Annie.
Hi. Although now I'm on dog cam.
You are on dog cam. It's true. Okay, no one's giving anything, so I'm going to find the button to do a test. So I'm going to do a test of tips and donations to show you what happens. Oh, someone did it.
Yes. Thank you.
So watch. It slides across and then they drop on the snowman.
Give me that. Come here. Come here.
So tomorrow, every time our donations counter goes past another $100 mark, we will be giving treats to the dogs. So stay tuned for lots and lots of dog cam action. You're going to be able to watch the giveaways getting packed up and labeled to go out in the mail in real time. And we're here to entertain and to sing for our supper. So for those of you who don't know who all is coming on as a guest, we have planned. We're going to start off in the first hour with some of the good folks from SciStarter joining us. And we're going to talk all about what citizen science is, the history of citizen science, and all the different ways you can get involved. Yes. Thank you, Keeper of Maps. We get to see the amazing animation one more time. I'm just stupidly pleased with that animation. So yes, can we light up the chat for that? So we're going to have Dr. Karen James coming on. She's an environmental scientist who works up in New England. And we're going to talk about all the different ways that we can help to save our planet. And then we're going to try to actually save our planet with a game of Eco. I'll have everything tomorrow to tell you how to log on to our server and be part of playing along and saving the planet from an incoming asteroid. Yes, Keeper of Maps. That is way too much fun. That was entirely the goal. The idea of just like raining things upon the head of a snowman is deeply, deeply pleasing. So in addition to Karen coming on, we're going to have Chris Booth coming on to talk about SpaceX's BFR and about technology coming in the future. We'll have Veronica Belmont and Tom Barrett at 3 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about science fiction. We have so many guests, and they're all listed out on our website, Hangoutathon.org. So you can get entertainment, you can learn about science, and we're also going to be doing lots of cool things in the background. Thanks to Fenmill, we have a Saturn V Lego that we're going to be getting our team to put together, and some lucky individual will be able to get that sent home to them. Yeah, lots of cool stuff going on. So that's really all I've got. Paranor's like Annie, our personal Vanna White.
Sure, why not?
So what questions do you guys have? Now, I was planning to do a normal daily space for you today, just showing off this new format. But it turns out in the days before Christmas, there's like no news out there. So you can ask me random astronomy questions. I'm good with random astronomy questions. They're like, we love Eddie. Stella's pretty awesome too. She just smells bad. No news have been newsed. No news have been newsed. This is entirely true. And yes, Larry, Annie is far better than any actual Vanna White. Stella is fabulous as well. He's just stinky. She's just stinky. What is the purpose of meaning?
42.
DPI 209 and Annie both chimed in at the exact moment with the same answer, and it was glorious. How much does it cost to illegally launch a satellite? A few million. Depends on what you use to launch it. Keeper of Maps. What are the physics behind polar vortices? Oh, man. I've looked that up before. Let me see if I can remember. So essentially you end up with a warm weather front expanding over the North Pole and pushing out the cold air that has otherwise gathered there and displacing it southward. This causes it to like freeze out whichever particular continent it decided to push the air out onto. Essentially, you get an atmospheric instability, and it's like, I shall heat the North. And while the North Pole is warm, the rest of us freeze. It's kind of frustrating. So Kmore 101889 is asking, when should we get our first good picture of Ultima Thule? I'm not sure what the download rates are. I think it will be sometime late January 1st. It is several light hours away, but I don't know how the spacecraft has timed getting there versus getting the data here, because sometimes the times they announce are the data arrival times, and sometimes the times they announce are the spacecraft arrival times, and those are not the same times. I'll have all the information for you next week as we gear up to host a special event for that arrival. So Herleo is, if there's ice on Mars, does that mean we can make snow cones on Mars? Yes.
Better.
You do have to make sure that you get the correct kind of snow, though. So never get the yellow snow. Just don't do it. In addition, there's both dry ice snow that would cause your teeth to shatter. You don't want that. And water ice. So the water ice without the dry ice in it, that's totally cool to make snow cones out of. So Miklas is asking, who governs the legality of launching a satellite? The country of launch? So there's actually all sorts of international regulations on this. So it largely comes down to international treaties and UN coordination. There's a big office in Vienna for this. And there's certain parts of the radio spectrum that are protected so that we don't pollute where radio astronomers try and do their astronomy. But people keep launching satellites that use those frequencies. The Iridium satellites originally did, for instance. And then we just penalize those companies with tariffs and fees and stuff like that. Wow, the dogs are totally fighting. So, and the legality of launching a satellite, yeah, again, UN treaties. So Larry is asking, did you hear about the ice-filled crater on Mars? There's many of those. I don't know. The ones that they find using neutron detections by neutron scattering, those are all water ice. But there's like a permafrost layer on Mars, and I don't know which particular comet you're talking, not comet, which particular crater you're talking about. So Fenring is asking, since adaptive optics are getting so good in producing amazing images, how useful are large space telescopes in the future? They're super useful. So we need space telescopes for a couple of different reasons. The first primary reason is our atmosphere is evil and blocks lots of colors of light. So different parts of the infrared, lots of parts of the ultraviolet, all these colors can't get to the surface of our planet because of this stupid atmosphere. So we need to launch large telescopes for that reason. And the more wavelengths of light can fit between the furthest and nearest edges of a telescope, that's what defines the telescope's resolution. So a 1 meter telescope with the best adaptive optics in the world will work identical to a 1 meter telescope in space and won't have great resolution. An 8 meter telescope on the surface of the planet with amazing adaptive optics will very expensively work way better than that 1 meter telescope, but can only see certain colors of light. So an 8 meter telescope in space doesn't need adaptive optics and can see all these different colors of light. Now, in addition to that, so you have the doesn't need adaptive optics, lets you see lots of different colors. And the other reason you put things in space is it's one of those things that lets you get around different problems we have on Earth in terms of northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. You can see the whole sky if you're on orbit. So you get a lot of advantages going into space, from the positioning to the lack of atmospheric smearing to the lack of atmosphere blocking colors of light. Okay, Dat Dolphin is saying, news wrote a while ago they found water particles on Bennu. Yes, stating it was important due to Bennu's age origin. How is that more important, though? So Bennu has what are called hydrated minerals on it, which is not something anyone expected, or at least anyone I know expected. There may have been people who expected it. I don't know about it. Hydrated minerals are minerals like hematite, which gets used in jewelry, that can only form in the presence of liquid water. And the idea that something this tiny once had liquid water implies that when it formed, the solar system was warm and mushy with liquid, and that's kind of cool. So That means it had to have formed in part of the solar system where liquid water was possible. So it probably didn't form where it is, because it would have been baked dry if it had been. So this is telling us about conditions in the wet part of our early solar system. And when we go and grab that rock and bring it back, it means that we get to sample what were all of the materials in the early wet part of the solar system. It's just unexpected and cool. And sometimes it's all it takes, is unexpected and cool. So Larry is asking, Mars has yellow snow? Well, it might. We don't know. We haven't seen all the snow yet. But if you look at some of the images of the polar regions, there is dust on the snow. So it does, in some places, appear slightly yellow-orange. In this case, it's not so much because of the huskies as it is from all of the dust getting blown around. So colored dust on ice. It's a thing. Korolev crater. Okay, I will have to look that up, Larry. Yeah, Mikla, satellites are totally governed. Oh, man. Yes, Stella and Eddie are kind of crazy. Nobody expects the Spanish space or the Spanish Inquisition. So hydrated minerals are not water particles, but they require water. So to get the hydrated minerals, you have to have had the water, which is cool. So do we have any more questions? Oh, thank you, Paranor.
What cool puppies!
Ooh, that's pretty. That is insane. I had not seen that. I'm gonna have to find more information about that. My brain is like, no, that's not possible. Okay. This is why human beings have to look at the images that come from the spacecraft. And this is why we need citizen science, because there's just not enough scientists to look at all of these images and find all of these amazing things. And that's a truly amazing thing. Very cool. Very, very cool. Okay, so that's all I've really got for today. We are going to be back in less than 24 hours. Our Hangout-a-thon starts tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. And I can tell you all the other time zones if I scroll for a moment. So we're going to be starting tomorrow, 3 p.m. London and 2 a.m. Sydney time. You're all invited to join us for 40 hours of science. CosmoQuest is now part of the Planetary Science Institution. This stream is produced in collaboration with Youngstown State University, where Annie is located, and we are supported by your subscriptions and your bits. And we're raising money to keep all the science going. We were warned a couple of months ago that James Webb Space Telescope cost overruns and changes to NASA policy might lead to funding cuts. James Webb is costing $6.8 billion instead of $6 billion, and that 0.8 had to come out of somewhere. And it came out of us. Now, I don't want to have to fire my entire staff for Christmas. And you can help. We are trying to raise $60,000. We have matching funds during the first hour of $1,000. For every 100 that we bring in, we will be giving the dogs dog treats. We have giveaways for everyone who is here watching and viewing. So please come. Please help us support science. Thank you, Paranor. Let's just keep beating up that snowman.
This is not what I anticipated.
But it's what you got. We will be here to science and we hope you will join us. The source is 48p because that's what that's what Twitch decided it needed to be. Thank you so much, Trucker Kev. The snowman doesn't get hit for 50 bits. You need 100 bits for the snowman to get nailed. Eddie is complaining.
I know.
He has opinions. But thank you all for being here. And we will return. And we will bring you the science and the silly and a whole lot more. Thank you. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Oh, I don't know which computer to click things on. That computer. Okay. Bye-bye.